Hi everyone, my name's Dr. Goss, and today we will be creating a self-portrait clay relief sculpture. So I think when you think about a self-portrait, or when I think about a self-portrait, I think about the artist painting or creating an image of themselves, like these examples. The self-portrait clay relief sculpture that we are going to create today is not based on how we look, but everything about us, our likes, hobbies, interests, things that bring us joy and happiness. So when we create our portrait today, it will be a portrait of symbols and images. We're going to create a clay relief sculpture. And a clay relief sculpture is when you add sculpted elements to a flat background. So it comes up off the plane of the background, but it's not three-dimensional. So it's only on the front surface. When you walk around to the back of it, it's still flat. So generally, clay relief sculptures would hang on the wall. Some examples of what a clay relief is. Let's talk about supplies. The supplies that we're going to be using today are clay. This is a self-hardening clay, and everybody has a piece. So we'll be using that to create our sculpture. You're going to need a paper towel or a napkin that you can get wet and wring out to keep your clay covered up with so that it doesn't dry out as you work. And the pencil. Now we're going to use this to brainstorm with, and then we're going to use it as a cutting tool. You're going to need a paintbrush and some sort of cup or jar that you can put a little bit of water in. So let's get started. So here you can see my brainstorming sheet. And I have already kind of gotten some things down, but I'm going to work backwards with you and we're going to do this together. So I'm going to take my pencil, which is the writing tool that we need, and a piece of paper. So we're going to create a clay relief sculpture that is in sort of a circle form. So when you press out your clay, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. It can actually be any organic shape you like. I just happen to draw a circle on my paper. We'll see how it goes when I move to clay. So what I did is I started first without the picture. So I'm just going to cover this up so it doesn't distract us. And I listed some things about myself. I really love nature and being outdoors. I love to travel, even if it's just somewhere close by my home. I love sitting around a campfire. That's something that my boys really enjoy doing. And I love the smell and the crackle of the logs. So that's something that's going to be on my list here. I really love cooking, all different kinds of food, and eating, so I should add that. So it's always good to have more things on your list than you're actually going to use, because then you have choices. I love music. I'm not very good at making music, but I love listening to it, and I love all different kinds of music. So you can start to make your list, and I want you to come up with at least 5 things on your list. And if you can come up with more, that would be great. So let's do that. While you add to your list, I'm going to add a couple more to mine. Okay. So everyone should have a few things on their list, and we can talk about that together as a group. All right, now that everyone has had a chance to share some things on their list, I want you to look back at your list and figure out how you can represent the things on your list with symbols or pictures. So I'm going to take this off now, and we can take a look at my picture. So I love nature, so the first thing I thought to draw was a big tree, and I wanted to kind of fill my space. So that's something we're going to focus on also. So instead of drawing just things down in this front part of our picture, which is the foreground, we're going to create a foreground, a middle ground, which is my trees, and the background, which is the sky. I have some little trees here in the middle ground, and I have a nice crackling fire here in the foreground. So again, this is my rough draft, my sketch. Whatever happens here is just kind of getting your ideas in your head down onto the paper. Brainstorming. Okay, I think we are ready to move on to clay. I have this well-used piece of canvas here, but you can work on a piece of paper like this. You don't really want to work on the surface of the table because the clay will stick. So we have this piece of clay here. Now this is much smaller than what we want to work on. And the best way to flatten clay is with your hands. We're going to use the palm, this part of our hand. The next thing I'm going to do is refer to my drawing. So I have my drawing here. I'm going to set it to the side. And I'm going to start with my tree. And the reason I'm starting with my tree is because it's the very first thing in the foreground. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to very lightly draw my tree on. I'm going to keep adding in my images, and I'm going to be here while you add in yours as well, so you can ask any questions. Okay, so I've got my basic sketch down onto my clay. So the next step is to start adding the clay relief pieces on. So I'm going to keep going. All right, I've got my music notes. Here we are. They're very tiny, but it's nice to have bigger details and smaller details. It gives more visual interest to the piece, and whoever's looking at it has to spend a little bit more time. So the next step is to let this dry out. Great job, everyone. So we've finished our self-portrait clay relief sculptures, and I hope that you really had fun playing with clay and creating something that represents you. I really like my clay relief sculpture. It definitely represents who I am. And when it dries, I plan on hanging it on my wall. And I will show you how to add a hanger in our next class. Thanks.